Karl Marx, one of the most influential thinkers in human history. His ideas have shaped generations and sparked debate that continues to this day. So, who was Karl Marx? Let's find out. Early years. Karl Marx was born on May 5, 1818, in the city of Trier, in what was then Prussia, now Germany. His father, Herschel Marx, was a successful lawyer, journalist, and member of the local Jewish community. His mother, Henrietta Press Marx, came from an old established family in the community. Though not particularly religious, the family observed Jewish traditions and customs. At age 6, Karl began attending the Trier Jewish school, after the family converted to Christianity to avoid official discrimination against Jews. He later studied at a Christian school. In his youth, Marx became interested in philosophy and studied the works of Enlightenment thinkers such as Immanuel Kant. He graduated from university with a doctorate in philosophy in 1842. The Communist Manifesto. After graduating, Marx began working as a journalist, writing for various newspapers and magazines. However, his radical views soon got him into trouble with the authorities, and he was forced to flee Prussia. He settled in Paris, where he met French philosopher and socialist thinker Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, whose work greatly influenced him. Together, they wrote the Communist Manifesto. The Communist Manifesto is a document that outlines the principles of communism and its analysis of class struggle. It was originally published in German in 1848 and almost immediately translated into English. In it, Marx and Engels argued that the history of all societies is characterized by class conflict, and that this conflict would ultimately result in the overthrow of capitalism and the establishment of a communist society. They also predicted that this revolution would occur first in England due to its advanced industrialization. The Communist Manifesto had a profound impact on the development of socialist and communist thought and inspired revolutionary movements around the world. Class conflict. Marx's theory of class conflict is based on the idea that throughout history, different classes have struggled against each other because of their different economic interests. In capitalist society, the class struggle is between the bourgeoisie, which is the class of owners of the means of production, and the proletariat, which is the class of workers who own only their labor power. According to Marx, the exploitation of the proletariat by the bourgeoisie leads to alienation. This is a concept that refers to the fact that workers are separated from the products of their labor, from the means of production, from the very essence of their humanity. Alienation can manifest itself in various ways, such as a lack of fulfillment or purpose in life, feelings of isolation and disconnection, and a sense of powerlessness or lack of control over one's own life. Marx believed that these feelings of alienation arise because workers are reduced to being just another cog in the machine, performing repetitive tasks for long hours without any real autonomy or creativity. They become increasingly dehumanized, and their work becomes something that they do to survive rather than something that they find meaningful or rewarding. Another aspect of class conflict, according to Marx, is the struggle over political power. The ruling class, the bourgeoisie, controls the means of political power and uses it to maintain their economic interests. This results in an unequal distribution of power and resources, and perpetuates the cycle of exploitation and oppression. Marx believed that the only way to overcome this conflict and achieve true equality was through the establishment of a communist society in which the means of production are owned by the community as a whole. Writings. Over his lifetime, Marx wrote extensively on a variety of topics related to his theories of communism and capitalism. Some of his most well-known works include Economic and Philosophic Manuscripts of 1844, which contain some of his earliest writings on the nature of alienation under capitalism. Then there's Das Kapital, a detailed analysis of the capitalist mode of production and its inner workings. And finally, Theories of Surplus Value, an examination of the source of profit in capitalist economies. All of these writings together offer a comprehensive critique of capitalism and a blueprint for a communist society. But many scholars argue that Marx's magnum opus is Das. In this book, Marx presents a detailed analysis of capitalism, arguing that it is characterized by the constant struggle between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. He examines the process of how capitalists extract surplus value from workers, and how this leads to the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few. Marx also discusses the tendency for capitalism to generate crises and instabilities, as well as the ways in which the capitalist system maintains its dominance through the control of political power and the creation of false consciousness among the working class. Das Kapital is a dense and complex work that has been the subject of much debate and interpretation. It is considered one of the most important books ever written and has had a profound impact on the development of economic and political thought. Death as a stateless citizen. Marx died on March 14, 1883. At the age of 64, he had been ill for several years and was suffering from bronchitis and pleurisy. He was buried in Highgate Cemetery in London alongside his wife, Jenny, who had died in 1881. When Marx died, his body was initially left without a grave. This was due to anti-socialist sentiment in London at the time, and the fear that his grave could become a site of political unrest or vandalism. Eventually, however, his remains were interred in a tomb, in accordance with his wishes to be buried near the philosopher Carl Jung. It's important to note that Marx died before the establishment of the modern nation-state of Israel, and that neither he nor his family identified as Israeli or Jewish. Therefore, it is not accurate to refer to him as an Israeli citizen, or to suggest that he would have held Israeli citizenship if he had been alive during the establishment of the state. Marx's nationality is a complex issue and cannot be easily categorized. He was born in Prussia, but lived and worked in France, Belgium, Switzerland, and England for most of his adult life. He did not identify strongly with any particular nation or state, and his thinking was shaped by his experiences and ideas from across Europe. Ultimately, Marx's ideas transcend any single nationality and continue to be debated and discussed around the world. While it is true that Marx was born in a region that is now part of Germany and that he was Jewish by birth, it's important to recognize the fluidity of identity and the historical context in which he lived. Nationality and citizenship are modern concepts that did not exist in the same way in Marx's time, and individuals like Marx, who lived across national borders and did not identify strongly with any particular state, would not have fit neatly into the categories of modern nation-states. Instead, we should recognize the complexity of his identity and the fluidity of nationality in the 19th century, and avoid making definitive statements about his nationality or citizenship. Did you know there is a species of fish named after Karl Marx? It's a small fish found in the rivers and streams of the Philippines. It was named after him because of his contributions to our understanding of social and economic issues. Interesting facts. Number 1. Karl Marx was a prolific writer and is said to have written the equivalent of 30 to 40 books over the course of his lifetime. Number 2. Marx was deeply influenced by the ideas of other thinkers, including G.W.F. Hegel, Thomas Hobbes, and John Stuart Mill. Number 3. Despite his significant contributions to political and economic thought, Marx was not awarded the Nobel Prize in his lifetime. Why we should remember Karl Marx. Karl Marx is a controversial figure, but his ideas are important because they've had a huge impact on the world. His ideas have inspired people to fight for social justice and equality. He helped us understand how capitalism works and how it can lead to inequality and exploitation. And his ideas are still relevant today as we continue to grapple with issues of social class, economic inequality, and the role of the government in society, Marx reminds us to question the systems of power and to work towards creating a better world for everyone. What do you think? We hope you enjoyed this video by Light Clock and AI. Thanks for watching.